Welcome to the public hearing on behalf of the Alabama Department of Environmental Management. My name is Mary Frank Brown. I'm the designated hearing officer for these proceedings. The role of the hearing officer is limited to ensure an orderly hearing so that an accurate record of this hearing may be developed for the department's evaluation. I do not make any decisions regarding these proposed permit actions. On behalf of the department, we appreciate your participation in tonight's hearing for the following proposed permit action for PowerSouth Energy Cooperative's Charles R. Lowman Power Plant, CCR Surface Impoundment, located near 4392 Carson Road, Leroy, Alabama, 36548. The proposed initial issuance of a coal combustion residuals, CCR, permit number 65-06 to close the Lowman plant CCR impoundment. The purpose of this hearing is to provide the public with an opportunity to present oral testimony on the proposed permit actions. In addition to oral testimony, the department will consider all written comments submitted before the close of the public comment period. The department has requested your comments, and we appreciate you taking the time to make them known to us. On June 11, 2021, notice of the date, time, place, and purpose of this hearing was posted on the department's website and published in the Montgomery Press Register and the Washington County News. In addition, the department sent notice of this hearing by email to individual organizations who had previously requested advanced notice of permit proceedings. A copy of the notice and the email distribution list will be entered into the record of these proceedings. Copies of the public notice, permit application, preliminary determination, and draft permit have been made available for inspection by the public at the office of the department at 1400 Coliseum Boulevard in Montgomery, as well as on the department's website. This hearing is open to the public, and anyone wishing to present oral testimony or submit a written statement may do so. Lengthy statements or those containing considerable technical or other complex data shall be submitted in writing. Summaries of such statements may be presented orally. All testimony and written comments should be as factual as possible and should address the subject of this hearing. This hearing is an opportunity for members of the public to offer comments to help ensure that all relevant factors are considered before a final permit decision is made. Please be advised that the department is limited in the factors it can consider when making permit decisions and must base the determination only on whether the permit application has satisfied those requirements of applicable environmental statutes and regulations granted by ADEM by the legislature. Persons giving testimony may be questioned by the hearing officer or other department staff to clarify points and to develop a better understanding of what is being presented. This proceeding tonight is not an open forum as in a question and answer session. This hearing is an opportunity for you to submit comments that you wish the department to consider in the final review of the permit application. However, you may pose a comment in the form of a question, which will be compiled and addressed by the department in its complete response to comments. In addition to oral testimony, written comments may be submitted on the proposed permit action. You do not have to make an oral statement tonight in order to have your written comments considered by the department. Written statements may be submitted to the hearing officer tonight or delivered to the department in Montgomery, as directed in the public notice for this hearing. All written statements previously submitted and those received by the department before the end of the public comment period will be included in the hearing record. It is important to note that written comments submitted through postal or electronic mail are given the same consideration as those that are presented in person at this hearing. All oral and written testimony will be included in the hearing record. After giving full consideration to the hearing record, the department will make its final decision on the proposed permit action and develop responses to comments for the proposed permits. The hearing record, final permit determination, and responses to comments will be posted to the department's e-file system. This hearing is being captured by a court reporter to develop a transcript of this hearing for review by the department. In addition, the entire proceeding is being recorded on video to be posted on the department's YouTube channel to make it accessible to the public. Now let us move on to the purpose of this hearing, the receipt of the public comments. The order of appearance of persons giving testimony will be as follows. First, representative of the department's land division, then a representative of the PowerSouth Energy Cooperative, then any elected officials or their representatives who have pre-registered to speak. All remaining members of the public will be heard in the order in which they registered during the pre-registration offered online or by phone, and then those registered on site at this hearing. I now recognize Mr. Devin Jenkins to present a statement on behalf of the department's land division.
Good evening. My name is Devin Jenkins, and on behalf of the Alabama Department of Environmental Management, we thank you for participation in the permitting process for the Charles R. Lowman Power Plant, permit 65-06. PowerSouth Energy Cooperative has submitted to the Alabama Department of Environmental Management, or ADEM, an application for the initial issuance of a coal combustion residuals, or CCR, permit to close for the Lowman plant CCR impoundment at the Charles R. Lowman Power Plant. The Lowman plant CCR impoundment is a CCR surface impoundment located in section 21, township 6 north, range 2 east in Washington County, Alabama, consisting of approximately 317.31 acres with a disposal area that consists of approximately 66.68 acres. The proposed permit would require the permittee to manage CCR in accordance with the conditions of the proposed permit, ADEM Administrative Code, Chapter 335-13-15, Standards for the Disposal of Coal Combustion Residuals in Landfills and Surface Impoundments, and the approved permit application. Groundwater monitoring and corrective action requirements in the proposed permit establish a groundwater monitoring system of wells that provides an accurate representation of the groundwater quality underlying the units, and a groundwater monitoring plan to establish appropriate sampling and analysis of the system to detect the presence of CCR constituents. For units where CCR constituents exceed acceptable levels, the proposed permit establishes corrective action requirement to remediate contamination caused by the unit. Closure criteria in the proposed permit establish requirements for all units to close in accordance with specified standards and timeframes. Post-closure criteria in the proposed permit require each unit be maintained for a period of time after closure, including maintaining groundwater monitoring and corrective action to ensure the long-term safety of units that are closing. The permittee must comply with all conditions of the proposed permit, except to the extent for the duration such non-compliance is authorized by a variance granted by ADEM. The first variance requests the final grade of the cover system be less than 5% and greater than 25%. Previously approved variances to exclude boron as an Appendix 4 assessment monitoring constituent and from ADEM Administrative Code R 335-13-15-.066H2 to To the extent that provision precludes the use of federal groundwater protection standards of 6 micrograms per liter for cobalt, 15 micrograms per liter for lead, 40 micrograms per liter for lithium, and 100 micrograms per liter for molybdenum are no longer necessary because the department amended ADEM Administrative Code Chapter 335-13-15 on February 15, 2021 to remove boron as an Appendix 4 constituent and establish groundwater protection standards for cobalt at 6 micrograms per liter, lead at 15 micrograms per liter, lithium at 40 micrograms per liter, and molybdenum at 100 micrograms per liter, in order to maintain consistency with federal regulations. Therefore, these variants have not been included in the draft permit. A previously approved variance from ADEM Admin Code 335-13-15-.072 to rely on the April 11, 2021 cease placement deadline established by 40 CFR section 257.101 will not be included in the draft permit, as that date has passed and a notification of intent to initiate closure has been submitted to the department. Based on our review of the initial permit application, the department has made a preliminary determination that the proposed facility would be in compliance with the applicable state and federal solid waste disposal requirements and thus protective of public health and the environment. The proposed permit includes the following conditions. 1, upon renewal, the permit would be valid for a 10-year period. 2, the permittee would conduct groundwater monitoring semi-annually. 3, the permittee would implement and maintain a corrective action program. 4, the permittee would maintain the integrity of the final cover system throughout the life of the permit and post-closure period. 5, the permittee would at all times properly maintain the facility and all systems in accordance with the application and the permit. 6, the permittee would obtain the approval of ADEM for any change or modification to the facility or a system which might otherwise result in non-compliance with the permit or ADEM's administrative code. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to provide an opportunity to receive public comment regarding the application and proposed permit. The department welcomes your input in this process and will consider all technical comments prior to making a final decision concerning the issuance of the permit, and will develop a response to comments which will become part of the public record and be posted to the department's e-file system. Thank you again for participating in the hearing.
Next, we usually go to the representatives of the permit applicant. And since we do not have any here tonight, we will go next to elected officials. But we do not have any elected officials here tonight, so we're going to go straight into the public comments. We will now proceed to the receipt of public comments from members of the public. As indicated in the public notice for this hearing, oral testimony for each registered speaker is limited to 7 minutes. If anyone has prepared a statement that cannot be presented in 7-minute time frame, please use your time for oral testimony to summarize your comments and submit your full statement to the department in writing for placement in the record. I now will recognize Blake Hardwick. I'm sorry, we'll recognize Seth Hammett. Please step to the mic and clearly state your name and the name of any interest and organization that you represent. Please speak clearly into the microphone to ensure an accurate record of your testimony so that it can be recorded.
May I remove my mask?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Please also remember that this is not a question and answer session, and you may begin when you're ready.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Seth Hammett. I'm the chairman of the Energy Institute of Alabama. The Energy Institute is made up of the 6 different organizations in Alabama that generate, transmit, and distribute electricity. We've got Alabama Power Company, it's one of our members. The hearing here tonight is for the Lowman plant owned by the PowerSouth Energy Cooperative, and that's our second member. The Tennessee Valley Authority is a member. The Rural Electric Association of Alabama, those 22 rural electric cooperatives are members. The Electric Cities of Alabama, made up of 36 cities, is a member. And finally, the Alabama Municipal Electric Authority, made up of 9 cities that have gone together to buy power at wholesale. They are members of the Energy Institute. So I'm here tonight to ask you to approve this rule as has been proposed, and I'll make these comments concerning that matter. First, federal rules provide 2 options for safely closing coal ash sites. The Environmental Protection Agency has approved the method of sealing the coal ash in place, the method we've chosen, as being just as protective of the environment as removing the coal ash and transporting it elsewhere. We're committed to the safe closure process because it involves the safety of the communities and the environment we all share. I think sometimes it's overlooked that people that work in this industry also live here. And we're not about to do anything that would endanger ourselves, our families, in particular our grandchildren. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will now recognize Blake Hardwick. Please step up to the mic and clearly restate your name and the name of any interest or organization that you represent. Please speak clearly into the mic to ensure an accurate record of your testimony can be recorded. Please also remember that this is not a question and answer session, and you may begin when you're ready.
May I remove my mask?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Blake Hardwick, B-L-A-K-E, H-A-R-D-W-I-C-H, and I'm coming tonight before you on behalf of the Energy Institute of Alabama. You just heard from our chairman, and I serve as executive director of the Energy Institute of Alabama. Tonight I just wanted to give comments on what we did in 2020 as the Energy Institute, and we commissioned a number of studies of all of the coal plants that were closing in Alabama. And we commissioned this study through a group named Pila Geo-Environmental, who is a consulting firm that provides services in the areas of hydrology, geology, and environmental sciences. The firm has advised national and international clientele in a variety of areas, including comprehensive hydrogeologic and geologic investigations, evaluation of natural resources, water resources development, regulatory matters, environmental studies, and remediation. The person that headed up this study, our independent study for us, has over 45 years in hydrogeologic investigations. We released the studies earlier this year, and I'm coming here to say tonight that We support PowerSouth's plan to close the coal ash ponds by closure in place, and the independent study will show that closure in place is a safe and viable method for closure here right in this community. The closure of the ash impoundment at Lowman Power Plant is being completed pursuant to EPA's coal combustion residual rule and ADM's administrative order. The regulations address requirements for operating criteria, closure and post-closure, design criteria, groundwater monitoring, corrective action, and record keeping and reporting. The criteria for conducting closure allows for leaving the CCR in place and installing a final cover system or through removal of the CCR. As the federal and state rules allow, for closure of CCR impoundments, they have to meet certain requirements. And the independent study shows what PowerSouth has submitted will control, minimize, or eliminate infiltration of liquids to and releases of CCR and contaminated runoff, remove free liquids from CCR, and stabilize, install a final cover system meeting design criteria, maintain integrity and effectiveness of the final cover system, and monitor groundwater quality conditions. It will essentially establish containment of the dewatered CCR with the consolidation and stabilization of the CCR materials and the installation of the multi-layered composite cover system. The closure plan for Lowman's ash impoundment is comprehensive and robust and includes both physical and hydraulic engineered technologies to create source containment and redundant safety features and flood protection that have been designed to rigorously comply with and achieve the closure in place and the regulatory requirement. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now recognize Billy Powell. Please step up to the mic and clearly restate your name and the name of any interest or organization that you represent. Please speak clearly into the mic to ensure an accurate record of your testimony can be recorded. Please also remember that this is not a question and answer session, and you may begin when you are.
In other words, you're not going to answer, but we can ask. We can ask questions.
Yes, sir. You can ask, you can submit comments, and the department will review them and answer.
Okay. My name's Billy Powell, William Powell III. This is my son, Will. Our family, and my sister's husband would be in, we own every foot of the south boundary of AEC from the plant all the way up beyond the second disposal site. So that's the reason we are here. We've been there for 6 generations. Will and my grandchildren and his wife live on the land and can see the ash pits from their front porch, in fact. We've been basically good neighbors over the years. The road to the plant goes through our property, and the transmission lines come through our property, much to our chagrin. But I've got concern about a number of things, and I'd like to ask a question. And we have asked them of PowerSouth and hadn't got an answer. The plant site down in the river bottom has got the wet coal ash, and Michael will ask a question or two about that. On our land, there's, I would say, 1 million tons of dry coal ash that has been covered, and it's stream running south of that on our property. A couple of questions. Number one, do we understand that they're going to have to put a liner under these two mounds of coal ash? Somebody had said, no, they're going to have to put a liner there. Well, I know they're not, because they're not going to dig up all of that and put a liner under that. So my second question is, how will it be monitored now that the plant has come to the end of the coal generation era? I would assume that ADM would continue to monitor any leakage of these two mounds of coal ash. One's, 150 feet high. And how will the monitoring occur? Will we be notified if there are any leaks? Then there will be into the groundwater that runs down by their house. Can you get a website that you can go and every month look at the monitoring? What's the timetable for monitoring? Would be my main questions in concern of the two dry coal ash storages, not at the plant.
Yeah, we just want to, we have not heard a lot about any plans for the older dry ash pits that he's referring to. We're the adjacent landowners on both of them, like he said, and just can't find anything else about it. But we see them every day and are just kind of curious.
And we asked,
who's going to monitor that? I mean, is it ADM or is there, or mainly what are their plans? Because like I said, we've got families that are engineers with other power companies, and they said, no, they're going to have to dig those out and then reline it, replace the ash, or they either have to haul it off, etc.
Which they're not going to do. So my
just curious about those for the older dry ash pits. And is there any current groundwater monitoring on the older dry ash pits, or will there be more monitoring or any monitoring on that?
And we talking about 10 years, we talking about 100 years, 200 years, when all of us are gone. Is PowerSouth responsible for covering any cost or damage? They kind of wrapped that up pretty quick going into the gas powered plant. And part of the concern continues that since I've got a mile border with PowerSouth and the coal ash, I didn't get notification of this hearing. You'd think certainly it's not but 3 landowners across that whole area. And I thought Lance before would just give me a call. And I've been in Montgomery 35 years, so I understand the politics of the situation. But if it hadn't been for a little piece in the paper and then just a blank card, I guess was in the paper, I don't know, it was stuffed in something, I wouldn't have received any information about this so-called public hearing. My last question, how do I find answers to what I ask?
It'll be
Published somewhere?
Published.
Okay.
And if you'd like some more information on that, they'll, at the table outside, they'll be able to point you to
All right.
the response to those comments will be.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And we wrote your questions down, so the department will be answering them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll now recognize John Michael Brown. If you'll please step up to the microphone and clearly state your name and the name of any interest or organization that you represent. Please speak clearly into the microphone to ensure an accurate record of your testimony can be recorded. Please also remember that this is not a question and answer session, and you may begin when you like.
Can I take this thing?
Yes, sir, you may.
My name is John Michael Brown. I'm representing my wife, Sally P. Brown. She owns the adjacent property south of the Lowman power plant and to the west of the Lowman power plant. And I will start with my questions.
Yes, sir.
Is that what I'm supposed to do? All right. I have heard they would have to move the landfill, the dry fly ash landfill. I would like to know where the landfill will be located. Are they going to permanently remove the ash from the landfill, or is it a temporary removal? In other words, dig a hole, put the ash in it, line it, put the ash back in the hole and cap it off. All right. I would like to know about removing the ash from the ponds, the processed waste pond, scrubber pond, 2 and 3 ash pond, and I'm the immediate landowner south, and I've actually seen this Unit 1 ash pond. I would like to know what was done on Unit 1 ash pond and what they're doing to 2 and 3 ash pond. All right, groundwater wells. They have came, when I say they, I'm talking Lowman Powerhouse, has came and approached me about water wells. I would like to know how much I should be concerned about the pollution in the groundwater. And should I be worried personally on the pollution in the groundwater? And that's about it.
Thank you. We've written down your questions and the
Okay,
answer.
the lady outside, if I have any more questions, I can email y'all at the address I had on my, well, I got my paperwork, but now I just got to find it. This, my notification of my public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Is that accurate? In other words,
Exactly.
and if the lady told me I had to the 29th to respond, does that mean if I email after the 29th, have a question, that I won't get an answer? Or because, like I said, I'll see something and I may need to do it after the 29th.
As to the issue of this permit, you have until the 29th.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good night and a safe trip back to Montgomery.
Thank you very much. You too, sir. I'd like to recognize Pastor Stevenson Tubbs. Thank you. Please step up to the microphone and clearly state your name and the name of any interest or organization that you represent. Please speak clearly into the mic to ensure an accurate record of your testimony can be recorded. Please also remember that this is not a question and answer session. And if you need to take off your mask, you may. And you can begin at any time.
Thank you so very much. My name is the Reverend Stevenson E. Tullis. I am the pastor of the Mount Olive No. 2 Baptist Church here in the city of Jackson, Alabama. My comment is that I congratulate this state organization for coming down from Montgomery to assist us in making sure that our environment and our climate is protected. However, it's my opinion and view that maybe in the future, the government agency that you represent would have a mass meeting with the community, and in order for them to understand a little bit more about the new plant and how it would affect our community. I think that would help a lot of clarity and understanding with the citizens of both Clark and Washington County. That is my comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
You too. I'll now recognize Donna Holly. If you would please step up to the mic and clearly restate your name and the name of any interest or organization you represent. Please speak clearly into the mic to ensure that there's an accurate record of your testimony can be recorded. Please also remember that this is not a question and answer session, and you may begin when you like. And if you want to take the mask down, you may.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Donna M. Holly, business owner here in Jackson, Alabama. And I do have a few concerns. I'm not totally familiar with what this is in regards to. So my question first would be, based on receiving the postcard in the mail and being one of the citizens here in Jackson that's on quite a few committees, some of the residents has asked what was this in reference to. So being a resident, a business owner, and a community leader, I just would like to know fully. And after reading over, this is the first time I've received this paper from outside, and I have not checked on the website. But based on some of the information that I was reading, it was about that coal ash, permit for the pond. What does that entail? Is that one of the questions you cannot answer? This is just, I'm asking the question, but will you be able to answer that?
The department has taken down all questions and comments and will respond.
Okay, well, that's my first question. And based on from the knowledge of just reading over that and trying to understand, one of my questions based on that would be, what are the dangers? And I notated 3 dangers that this would bring into our community. Okay, and my next question was, why was Jackson chosen to be one of the places to hold a public hearing here in town? So is it something that would affect the citizens of Jackson more so than some of the other surrounding areas? Okay, 1 second. And another question is, based on being a community leader in some of our different auxiliaries here in town, this is the first that I've really heard about this based on the postcard. And why haven't our own leaders, such as our mayor or other organization here, not been informed to have a hearing within their citizens already? And let's see. And with that being said, my next question would be, even after this public hearing, would it possibly be a chance for our local leaders to meet with the committee to inform citizens who are not totally familiar with what is going on, as well as who does not do the website? So would it be a possibility that there could be another public hearing so that we could come together as a town? And I think that's all the questions that I had in regards to it.
Okay.
Okay,
We are taking down the comments and they will be answered.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Since there's no further registered speakers, please be advised that unless otherwise notified, the public comment period will end at 5 p.m. on Thursday, July 29th, 2021. All comments must be received at the office of the department in Montgomery by that time. After consideration of all oral and written comments, the department will make its determination regarding the proposed permit action and prepare responses to all relevant comments received. Thank you for participation in this evening. This hearing is adjourned.